Hello friends, and welcome to part 2. Okay, so in part 1, what happened was the tractor always started up fine, ran smooth, no problem. We fixed the oil leaks on it. I backed it out a couple times, started up first pull, second pull at the most. And all of a sudden, one day when I backed it out, wouldn't start. Cold start. I was going crazy trying to start it. I pulled it like 5 times, wouldn't start. Then I took the air cleaner hose off and I sprayed some brake clean in there, and then we got it to start up. And what I did was I just did one of my half-baked carb cleanings. I pulled out the high-speed jet adjuster, sprayed some brake clean in there. Then I pulled out the low-speed adjuster, sprayed some brake clean in there. And still we had a lot of trouble with it. So then we took the carburetor off, and then I cracked the carburetor open. There's 4 screws that hold it together. We were lucky, didn't break the gasket, the mating gasket. And I took and I cleaned all the ports out, sprayed everything in there, all the jets, everything. There was one jet I tried to get out, but I couldn't. It turned like maybe 2 turns, and then it got real hard to turn it. I don't want to get into any trouble with it. Cleaned it all out, put it together. I got it to start up on the cold start on the first pull after we did that, but the tractor is still not running good. Then we had a cast iron carburetor that I had, and I hooked the fuel line to that. You know, I put it all together. I hooked the fuel line to it, turned the gas on, and the gas is just pouring out of the carburetor inlet. So that gives me reason to believe when I got that carburetor with the 2 tractors that I bought, the guy said he rebuilt it, but I don't think he adjusted the float right on it. But just for the heck of it, I'm going to try to start it up with the original carb on there now, see if it'll start up on the first pull. It's a cold start. I just backed the tractor out of the storage here. We'll see what happens right now with it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this carburetor off, and I'm going to split it apart, and I'm going to split apart the cast iron carburetor that floods out. So let's see if this thing will do anything now. I'm going to back the camera up a hair here. So, alright. I'll throttle it up. I choked it already, and I also turned the gas on. Turn it on as much as you can here. In part 1, we did check for vacuum leaks and stuff. You get hear that it's not running right at all, but it starts on the first pull when the engine's cold. But I don't know what happened inside the carburetor. I have no idea. If anybody's interested in seeing part 1, I'll leave the link in the description. so I said I was going to leave it alone as long as it starts on the first pull. But I'm not happy with the way it runs, and I like them to run, I don't know, near perfect. That's just the way I am with these. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this carburetor. I'm going to hook up the cast iron carburetor that floods, and I want you to see what it's doing for yourself. Okay, this is the cast iron carburetor. I hooked up the fuel line. I only caught one bolt in there. Turning the gas on right now. There it goes leaking. So the float is probably not set right. Alright, so I'll go ahead and crack this carburetor open and we'll see what the fuel, the float is adjusted to. When the guy rebuilt the carburetor, he used this needle here with the rubber seat attached to it. Usually these Gravely's don't have, it's just a solid needle with a solid seat. So what I did was I just took off the original carburetor. I took the needle, the original needle, and just stuck it in there, and I put the original float on this carburetor here that was leaking, and I did the blow through test and it seems to be okay. The float seemed to be down too far this way, down that way, so it was letting too much gas in for one thing, and that's why it was flooding out. So I'm going to put this thing back together and see what we got. We have another dilemma too. This carburetor that we're putting back on has a choke that takes cable. I don't have the original Gravely cable for it, but I'm going to try to make do with this. I had this laying in there luckily, so we could control the choke from the handlebar. I'm going to have to hook that up because I tried to take the choke plate out. It has two screws in it and they wouldn't even budge on the one I was going to switch. I was going to switch the choke assembly from this one to this one. I couldn't even get the screws to budge out of this, so I'm not going to get involved in that. I'll just put that, I'll try to run that thing on there temporarily. And that's about it. It is starting to rain, of course. Not supposed to rain till this afternoon, but you know how the weather people are. Okay, so I bolted the carburetor up first, and then I turned the gas on. No gas leaking out again like it was before. I changed the float, so that's good. And what I had to do is I had to hook up this cable here for the choke. I don't know, I just somehow I had it laying around, so it's got a lever here. I'm gonna have to mount that up good. I just did it real quick. Alright, so we'll start it up in a minute. Okay, so how it's gonna run, I have no idea. We'll try it. So I have the gas turned on. I have the choke, it's choke. Probably gonna have to make some adjustments. I'll adjust the mixture just so it runs good. I'll adjust that the best I can. And then when I put the air cleaner hose on, I'll go ahead and adjust it some more. I hope this thing don't kick back. Throttle's up. We're only gonna do this twice. And then if it doesn't start, I'll get it running off camera. That's a good way to put your eye out too. Alright, so I'll be right back to you. It's either running too, it's probably set too rich, I don't know what, but I'll be right back. Well, we got rid of the gas leak on the cast iron carburetor, but this thing still runs the same. I don't know if we have two bad carburetors. Doesn't idle good. It runs okay at high speed. Pops a little bit. So I'm not sure if it's carburetor or do we go after the head gasket. Let me know in the comments. I was able to loosen a couple of the bolts on the head, so I think that they should come right out with no problem. I do have extra head gaskets too, but it's either that or just wait till I get one of the other tractors out and I'll switch the car. I'll take the carburetor off another Gravely and try it. This way we can make sure it's not the carburetor. So I'm not sure. Like I said, this carburetor was rebuilt. The only thing was the float wasn't set right. That's why it was flooding out like it was. So I changed all that over from the original carburetor, and it doesn't leak gas anymore. But it just still runs the same. It's just, I don't know why. I'll give it one more start up and then we're going to close here. Because, I don't know, I've been sick of this. I've been sick of this. I don't know, to me it was ever since I was putting the tools away after we got done doing one of the oil leak repairs, and then all of a sudden the governor just hit full throttle when I wasn't even standing there, and I don't know if damage was caused by that. I tried to get over as quick as I could to bring it back down to idle, but so the mystery continues. I don't know. It's easy enough to pull a head off. Maybe we'll just pull a head off and take a look at the valves and stuff. But it was like I said, one day it ran great, next day I couldn't start it. So, alright, so that's going to be it for today. I'm going to decide what to do. And then I guess there'll be a part 3. And anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry it wasn't that much of an exciting video again, but I got to try to fix this thing. Like I said though, it started off first pull when it was cold this morning. I want to see what it does now with this carburetor next time I pull it out here and try to start it. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one, and take care. Okay, so I decided to pull the carburetor off the 57 here. As you can see, it runs good. And then we'll throw it on the 57 here and see what happens. Okay, so I have the carburetor switched. The only thing I had to change over was the bell crank to accept the governor rod. So let's see what happens now. Okay, your gas is on, and I choked it, throttled it up, and we'll see what happens here. nothing. I'll try it one more time, then I'll try to get it running. Maybe it's not the carburetor. Very possible. I don't know how much more my arms could take of this shit. Okay, so we know this carburetor is good. There's something else wrong with the engine. So I'm figuring when the governor had the mind of its own and revved up, full throttle it revved up, might have damaged the head gasket or something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare the original carburetor for this. I'm going to put it back to the way it was. I'll change the float back over and the needle. And I'm going to try it on the 57 and see if that carburetor is good. Because I'd like to put this carburetor back on the 57. This really turned into a real menagerie here. But let's see what happens with that. I'll do that. And then we're going to close. And then I guess part 3, we're going to pull the head off. See what's going on in there. Something wrong with the valves, valve adjustment. I don't know. I have no idea. Or a blown head gasket it could have. So... Alright, so I'll close in a few minutes. I'm going to take care of that other carburetor and throw it on the 57. So I changed everything back over to the 56 Gravely, the original carburetor for that. And I just want to see if it works on this tractor. We know the one from this tractor don't work on the 56, so there has to be a problem with that. We'll talk about that later a little bit. Let's see what happens here now. I have to make some adjustments. I know that. I'm pretty sure it's still got gas in it. Yeah. I'll choke it. And then I'll sit down and make the adjustments. I'll have to take the choke off. So there was nothing ever wrong with the carburetors. I wasted hours and hours trying to mess with the carburetors here. So, alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch everything back. I know this carburetor's adjusted good right now. And so I'm sure it'll work on the 56 after we fix it. I think the next thing we're going to do is rip the head off. And hopefully the head bolts come out alright. Because I don't know what exactly happened. We'll have to check out and see what exactly happened to it. I have a good mind to pull a governor off this thing because that was the cause of the whole mess over here when it went to full throttle. It was okay once that I started it after I shut it down when that happened. But then after that, that's when we started having the big problems with it. So, alright, that's it. I'll see you all on the next one. I'm sorry, I don't know, it's probably kind of boring, but I'll get to doing the head gasket, and I guess that's part 3 that's going to come up. We never get things done in part 1, like one video it seems. So, alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you all on the next one, and take care.